has been launched by Sir Clive Sinclair. A new electric vehicle inspired by a washing machine has been launched by Sir Clive Sinclair. The C5 is a single-seated trike that can be driven by anyone over 14 without a licence, tax, insurance or crash helmet. It's been criticised on safety grounds, but Sir Clive insists it is safe on the roads. The trike can travel up to 20 miles on one battery charge. It has a top speed of 15 miles an hour and can be bought for about £400 from electricity showrooms. This from Lawrence McGinty.
Sir Clive Sinclair's latest brainchild is something of a surprise. Hardly an electric car, more like an electric bath chair. At the Hoover factory in Merthyr Tydfil, where it's made, it's called the Noddy car. That's a bit unfair because the C5 is, after all, a futuristic and rather sleek vehicle with unusual design features. For example, it's steered by handlebars beneath the driver's thighs, and the body is an injection moulding made from tough but light polypropylene. But there are disadvantages. It's open to car fumes and to the weather, although you can buy protective side shielding as an extra. When turning, you have to take one hand off the handlebars where the brakes are, and that could be dangerous. And because the C5 is so low slung, lower even than the curb, some experts have expressed doubts about its safety. Lorry drivers might not even be able to see the vehicle on the road. Today's press launch of the C5 at Alexandra Palace had all the razzmatazz of a three-ring circus. Impressive, but will the electric go-kart sell?
There's no chance that for an electric vehicle to compete with ordinary vehicles unless it's mass-produced, because other vehicles are in very large-scale mass production. You've got to go into really heavy tooling, really large-scale mass production. You've got to design from scratch, really use the latest materials, really get the cost out, and that's what we've done.
New laws mean that even 14-year-olds can drive the C5, a dangerous move in some people's opinion.
Well, my opinion is the same as when I tested it at their works last week. Number one, the idea of 14-year-old kids taking these things on the roads like today, no licence, no insurance, no training, no seatbelt, no skid lid, no protection, frankly horrifies me.
Sinclair's answer to those criticisms is that it's safer than a bicycle. He also points out that the C5 is cheap to run, 1,000 miles for the price of a gallon of petrol. The conventional rechargeable battery will need changing annually. It may be fun, but the technology is not that new.
Build a passenger car that does 30, 40 miles an hour, and you're going to want 50 miles range minimum, I would say, and you're going to have an awful lot of these batteries in it to get that range. Either that or we've got to make the batteries better. It does really need something a wee bit better in technology to build this up and scale it up into a passenger car.
A better battery has been the holy grail of the electric car makers for some time, but they haven't changed much since this model was launched 12 years ago. There are now about 30,000 electric vehicles on the road, most of them commercial, and most of those milk floats. The newer generation of electric vehicles are much more sophisticated, travelling at about 50 miles an hour with a range of about 50 miles. But their sales, 500 a year or so, are still less than 1% of the total market for light commercial vehicles. And electric cars, unlike electric vans, haven't taken off. Despite the hard sell, Sinclair has yet to beat the problem of a battery good enough for a real car.